Shalom. Shalom. This is Jerusalem Ministry, and this is our Wednesday night. It's actually our Wednesday night Bible study, but I'm doing how do I say 12-week course on Judean Christian New Testament writings. All right, this is the fifth week. And we're gonna end it off with the Damascus document today. We're gonna end it out. We're not even gonna be long. We're gonna end it out with the Damascus document, and then next week we're gonna start with something different, another New Testament Judean writing that need to be publicized, that need to be talked about. We're gonna go into it, and we're gonna stay within the Dead Sea Scrolls because it's a couple of writings, New Testament writings that's within the that's within the Dead Sea Scrolls. All right. And I'm gonna show y'all some of it briefly tomorrow as I go into a couple of New Testament, not tomorrow, but next week as I go into a couple of New Testament writings within the Dead Sea Scrolls next week on week 6. All right. So right now, we're actually about to wrap up with the Damascus document. The Damascus document is a very, very important document. Right. Before I actually go into the Damascus document, I want to talk about the Zadokite fragment, because the Zadokite fragment was founded around in the I want to say the late 1800s, going into the early 1900s, and you had R.H. Charles. He ends up translating it, and then put it in within the pseudeographia that we know today. The R.H. Charles translation. So now the Damascus, the Zadokite fragment is the same thing as the Damascus document. It's just the Damascus document is an older version. So when you study the Zadokite fragments, okay, you have to filter it with the Damascus document. All right, the Damascus document is earlier, so you filter it with the Damascus document. It has an earlier source, and it has more what you would see the Judean Christian movement. Well, if you want to use the word Christian, the Judean Messianic movement goes. You understand a little bit how it was ran by the teacher righteousness. And a little bit of his history. So the fragments of the Zadokite work is the same thing as the Damascus document. you will use the Damascus document to filter out any later additions within the Zedekiah fragments. Okay. All right. So now we're gonna go right into this. Go right into it. Let me make my screen a little bigger. So I'm gonna just start right here. This is, and we in a Damascus document, and we are on page 136. All right, 136. Now it's broken down how you really read it. You will read it. The master document is known as CD fragment. C is called CD, and it's broken down into columns and into Roman numerals. All right, but if you just get this Penguin Classic Edition, all right, the Dead Sea Scrolls Penguin Classic Edition by Giza Vermes, you can follow along just by the page numbers. All right, all right. So that's why I say page number 136. You know, because it's people get more familiar with that. All right. Now, let's check this out. So let's go down to it. So let's wrap this up. So they have not kept apart from the people in their sin and have willfully rebelled by walking in the ways of the wicked, of whom God said, their wine is the venom of serpents, their cruel poison or head of apes, Deuteronomy. That's in the book of Deuteronomy. So, and like I said, I mentioned this before, but you got John the Baptist quoting this. We wanted they're vipers. He's calling the Pharisees and stuff vipers because their priesthood is wicked. You know, so that this community, this community right here, which is the early church, okay, which is the early Judean Messianic movement, they believed that, you know, the Pharisees and stuff like that, these people were wicked, were vipers, you know, were vipers. So now, and they say now, and it mentioned these vipers before, but right now it's using certain serpents. It used the word viper. I think it used the word vipers in the community rules or is in the Damascus Document, but they use that exact terminology also. But what's interesting about this right here, the serpents are the kings of the people, and their wine is their ways. So this Deuteronomy is they showing you that Deuteronomy, this passage in Deuteronomy is actually emphasizing on what we see in Revelations. I'm going to show you. So the serpents are the kings of the peoples, and their wine is their ways, and the head of their apes is the chief of the kings of Greece, who came to wreak vengeance upon them. But all these things, the builders of the wall, those who dwelt it with blaster, have not understood because of the followers, because of a follower of the wind, who rise up storms and rain down lies, had preached to them against all whose assembly the anger of God was kindled. All right, so now I'm gonna go to Revelations. All right, so now I'm gonna start at verse 9. Not at verse 12. Right? Therefore rejoice. Let me make this bigger. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe unto the inhabitants of earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he have but a short time. And when the dragon saw that he was cast unto the earth, he persecuted the woman which was brought forth the man child. And to the woman were given 2 wings of a great people, that they should fly, that she might fly into the wilderness, and to her place, where she is nourished for a time, and times, and half a time from the face of the serpent. Right? This serpent. And the serpent cast out his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood. So this serpent, which the early church, the community at the Dead Sea Scrolls, they say that serpent is the nations. It's the nations, and over time, these nations, their ideology affected Israel. We picked up their ideology, we mixed things in with our records. We and then the flood, and then you got our leadership, the priesthood, they was all messed up. And then it mentions during, let me go back to this. It mentions during the time, it mentioned something about the Greeks, because when the Greeks came in, when the Greeks came in, and they mentioned in Greece because they already passed, right? They mentioned, see, when they mention in Rome, they say Kittim up in the Dead Sea Scrolls. When they mention in Greece, they mention in Greece straight up, and they had mentioned somebody, they had mentioned, Antiochus' name and all of that, because it passed already. It's already passed. While they're in the present, they're not mentioning anybody's name while they're in the present. This is how you know this stuff. This is one reason how you know this stuff is written in the 1st century AD. The records that I'm bringing out. All right. So now, the chief king. So it say the serpents. It say the serpents are the kings of the people, and their wine is their ways, and the head of Apps is the chief of the kings of Greece, who came to wreak vengeance upon them. So the Greece, he came already. He came, he wreaked vengeance on them. All right. They are in the time of Kittim right now. They just giving you information on how the priesthood is the way that it is now. They saying that they saying that during the Second Temple time, it started during the time of the Greece, when the priesthood got infiltrated and affected and started being wicked. All right. Now, and they said that the people they came down, and so it say who came and wreaked vengeance upon them. But all these things the builders of the wall does, who daub it with plaster, have not understood, because a follower of the wind. So a follower of a wind. So it was a follower of people, of a follower of a nation, somebody from these nations, people from these nations, pretty much, came down and started to rain, who ride storms and rain down lies. Let's go back to Revelations. So it say, and the serpent cast out his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might carry her into a way of the flood. So this flood is the lies of the nations. This flood is the lies of the nations, is the ideologies of the nations, is the things that we picked up by the nations. And people within our priesthood, started being followers of this wind, of these storms, of these lies, and had preached to them and preached to the people these lies. All right. And against all of whose assembly the anger of God was kindled. So things was, it started during the Greece time. It's the same time when this group arose. All right. This group, the Essenes, came around the 2nd century, the middle of the 2nd century to the late 2nd century BCE. All right. So now we're going to keep going. And for those which Moses said, you enter to possess these nations, not because of your righteousness or the uprightness of your heart, but because God loved your hearts and kept the oath. Thou should it be with the converse of Israel, who depart from the way of the people, because God loved the first men who testify in his favor, so will he love those who came after them. So now, like I said, Damascus Document, it gives you history. All right, it's giving you a history first, of what's going on. So what happened is letting you know that God, he blessed those original Essenes that actually, converted from Israel and started to create this community. They are called the first men. They are called the first men of the community. All right. They are called the first men of the community. And he said, he testified in his favor, so will he love those who came after them. So everybody that came after them, talking about like after them, going into the first century AD, and going into the preparing of the way with John the Baptist, and going into what scholars call the Jesus movement, which is the early Messianic movement in Jerusalem. That's right there. That's those who came after them. And on top of that, it's us too. Those who want to follow the early church. It's us too in these times also. So he said, and he loved those who came after them, for the covenant of the fathers is theirs. But he hated the builders of the wall, and his anger was kindled against them and against all those who followed them. So, but going back to those people, who started following, the ideologies of the serpents, our people, going back to that. The Most High is against them, and say, so shall it be for who reject the commandments of God and abandon them for the stubbornness of their hearts. This is the word which Jeremiah spoke to Baruch, son of Neriah, which Elisha spoke to his servant Gehazi. Right, and it say, none of the men who enter the new covenant in the land of Damascus. Like I said, this group, they understood that the land of Damascus itself is actually it's just the new land of the new covenant. That's what they call that area. They call that area Damascus, which just means new covenant. We actually did a lesson breaking the word Damascus down. Check it out. It's on our page. Breaking it down, breaking the word the new covenant Damascus down, because the word, I think mass is how did it go? I think because the word, so the word Dama, something like, I think one of it mean blood. Let me just pull it up real quick. I don't want to misquote everything. Let me, because I got it right here. So the word Dom itself, which is H1818, H1818, which is blood, is blood in Hebrew. That's Dom. And Damu, that's blood in Swahili, Damu. So Dam, that's blood in Hebrew. Then you got Kus, that's actually cup. That's cup in Hebrew. All right. So all they did was just play on the word play. All right. All they did was just play on the word play. Like I said, Dom is H1818. All right, which just means blood. Matter of fact, let me just pull it up real quick. Hold on 1 second. Let me pull it up. Let me get it. One second. And then let me pull up each 3563. All right. All right. So now let's go to Dom. So this right here, this is Dom. This is Dom. All right. This is Dom.
Strong's H 1818. Dom.
Which is just mean, all it means is just blood. Okay. Dom means blood. Blood from a man or an animal. So Dom means blood. And then go to Damascus, which is H.
Strong's H 3563. Kos.
It just mean cup. It's cup. All right. It's cup. All right. So now to show the wordplay. So now let me go to, I'm gonna go to Mark. This is the earliest, Mark is the earliest gospel out of the four canonical Greco-Roman gospels. I'm gonna go to Mark chapter 14. And I'm gonna start at verse 22. And as they did, and as they did eat, Jesus took bread and blessed it and brake it and gave to them and said, "Take it, this is my body." And he took the cup, and when he had given thanks, he gave it to them, and they all drank it. And he said unto them, "This is my dam, this is my dam of the New Testament, which is shed for many." So dam, this is my dam of the New Testament, which is shed for many. So what happened is the Greco-Roman Christians, they took the original idea of Damascus and mixed it in with paganism. All right, because the original thing of Damascus really just said, it's just, okay, dam mean blood, but his blood was is synonymous with what they try to say with the new covenant. But really, the blood is synonymous with actually the wine. The wine being is not even dealing with nothing with no blood at all. It's nothing to do with no blood at all. It's just dealing with wine, and it's symbolizing new life, which is new covenant, new testament. The wine symbolizes new life. Doesn't symbolize blood. You know what I'm saying? That all is pagan injectory. You know, the Jews never ever, symbolize drinking blood ever. You know what I'm saying? The wine is symbolized for new life, new testament, new covenant. The bread, when he break the bread is symbolized for new life, new testament also, and the bread is symbolized to the commandments also. So these things will break down to what they did at the Dead Sea Scrolls with the common meal that they would have, okay? The common meal that they would have. Let me go to that real quick. So let me go to this common meal that they would have. Let's see. Is this common meal? All right, let me go to this right here. We'll go to page 160. So I'm gonna go to we in the Dead Sea Scrolls. Now I'm gonna go to this is actually what they call it. They call this a Messianic rule. This is the Messianic rule scroll. All right, and they're showing you a banquet that happens, and this same common meal that they do within the scrolls right here is the same. It's a common meal that they actually reacting over and over until the last days, until the coming of the Son of Man, and I mean until the coming of the Messiah and the coming of the Levitical Messiah also. All right, so this is what they have. Let me let's check this out. Let's go to this 161. Let me go back up. All right, so this is called a Messianic rule. All right, and it's giving you of like what they're gonna do in the last days. They say this is the rule. So this is the Messianic rule. I'm gonna give y'all the Messianic rule, and this is 1QS. Okay, and it's coming from Cave 1. I think coming from Cave 1, and I could be mistaken. I think Cave 1. I think so. This is 1QS. All right, and this is the Messianic scroll. Messianic rule scroll, and it's about they having a meal with you got the priest and the Messiah out of Israel, the priest Messiah, you got the Judean Messiah out of Israel, and they all coming together having this common meal that the come from caves group keeps every evening. They keep a common meal. So this is what it said. They said this is the rule for all the congregation of Israel in the last days. So this is something that they should be doing all the way going up into the last days. And it's going to show you that this is a pretty much a rehearsal that they need to keep doing. Also, this is what they do. All right. And this is where Damascus, get his wordplay from. This is where the Greco-Roman New Testament gets his wordplay from, and gets how they did what they call the Last Supper. All right, so now this is and it's saying, let me get this. Yeah, so I'm gonna read this. So it's saying, when God engenders the priest Messiah, he shall come with them at the head of all of the whole congregation of Israel, with all his brethren, the sons of Aaron and the priests, those called to the assembly, the men of renown, and they shall sit before him, each man in order of his dignity. And the Messiah Israel shall come, and the chiefs of the clans of Israel shall sit before him, each in the order of his dignity, according to his place, in their camps and marches. And before them shall sit all the heads of families of congregation, and the wise men of the holy congregation, each in the order of his dignity. And when they shall gather for the common table to eat. So this is what you call the Last Supper right here. Okay, this is what you call the Last Supper. And I'm gonna keep going on. They would drink new wine. So first it's the new wine. So this is a reenactment of what's going to happen, before we go to battle. We're going to have a big common meal, and what this is a common meal. It is either before the battle or this is after the battle. We're going to have a big common meal. All right. And we're going to drink new wine. The new wine is symbolic for new. This is the new covenant right here. Okay. When the common table shall sit before eating, and the new wine pour for drinking. Let no man extend his hand over the first fruits of the bread. So this is the bread and wine before the priest. So the Messianic priest, he blesses the bread and the wine. For it is he who shall bless the first fruits of the bread and wine. He shall be the first to extend his hand over the bread. This is like John the Baptist coming in first, okay? Because John the Baptist had to prepare the way first. All this when you put it all together, it's gonna all make sense when you understand the early church. So this is how they did what the Greco-Romans called the law on the Last Supper. But they did this every evening, and it's a rehearsal into the last days. Okay, they're gonna show you. And therefore, after the Messiah of Israel, he shall extend his hand over the bread. So after the Levitical Messiah come and prepare the way, then the Davidic Messiah will come, all right? And he's going to bless the bread and wine after, and all the congregation of the community shall utter a blessing, each man in the order of his dignity. And it is according to this statute that they should proceed at every meal, at which at least 10 men are gathered together. So when it's 10 or more men gathered together, this is what you do. So this is what they did at the quote unquote with the Gospels, with the Greco-Roman Gospels, call it the Last Supper, right? And this is what they did, and this is why that place, that land where they at, is called Damascus. It's because this is where they established this new covenant, this common how they do this common meal until the last days. This is the statute that they're supposed to be doing, and then this is how they do when it's 10 or more people in the midst. This is how they do it. So this is how it's done. All right, this is where it's coming from. All right, it has nothing to do with no blood. The word dam does mean blood, but that's the Greco-Romans. They took that and used it for paganism, to mix in paganism with the understanding. But dam does mean blood. Cusk means cup, but it's not dealing with how they try to switch it to. It's not dealing with symbolic of us drinking blood. None of that. It's straight just dealing with wine, which is new life, and bread, which is new life. All of it's new covenant. Has nothing to do with this is my blood, this is you drink this. They never did that. You don't see that right here in the scrolls. You don't see that. All right, so now they did it a different way. It wasn't about this is my blood, this is my body, you eat my body, you eat my body, you drink my blood. No, this was the bread is new life, and the wine is new life. The priest bless it, then the divine Messiah bless it, and we eat. That's all. And no paganism with it. None of that extra stuff. Now let's keep going. Let's keep going because I wanna wrap it up. Wrap this up. So let me see. Let's go back up to the Damascus document. We can go ahead and finish this up. So the Damascus document, like I said, it's a very, very, very important document, y'all. Very important document. Okay. For us to understand as Hebrew Israelites and just as Messianic, just as Hamashiachs, Hebrew Israelites. That's what we are. We are a Messianic, nation. For those that understand that and understand the things that I'm bringing forth, this is we are a Messianic group. This is a Messianic congregation that we're reading about. All right. The scriptures tell you it would many saviors, which with that word is still Messiah, many messiahs, many saviors shall be on Mount Zion. And this, so the scrolls understand the scrolls have two messiahs. All right. So it understands certain things that we don't understand, and the early church understood things that we don't understand that we need to get back to so we can fulfill prophecy and be able to move forward as us as a nation also. But first we have to separate our Greco-Roman understanding from the Judean Messianic understanding. We have to separate the two, and we have to understand that the Judean Messianic understanding is the correct understanding. All right, so now let me get back to this. So I'm gonna wrap this up. So now we're on page 136, but that's on 136 right here. So now it said, none of the men who enter into the new covenant in the land of Damascus, and again who betray it and depart from the fountain of the living waters. We know this fountain of living waters, John, the gospel, Greco-Roman gospel of John 7:38 speak of, these living waters. Follow me, those who follow me will have springs of living waters. So if you depart from these living waters, you won't be reckoned with the council of the people or inscribed. So for those who departed from the living waters shall be reckoned with the council of the people or inscribed in its books from the day of the gathering of the teacher of the community until the coming of the Messiah out of Aaron and Israel. Because they believe that, these messiahs are coming back, to actually raise, we're going to be raising wars in the war scrolls that the Davidic Messiah is returning, and that the Davidic Messiah also, is there, and they have them returning. How these people having the Messiah coming with angels in the war scrolls, coming down to fight against the Romans. So they have this is what they believe. They believe that since when the teacher came to establish the new covenant, to solidify it, all the way until the return of them, if you betray this, you're not going to be reckoned with the council of the people. All right. So and this is we're reading historical information about the early church right here. And it said, and thus shall it be for every man who enters a congregation of men of perfect holiness, but faints in performing duties of the upright. He is a man who has melted in the furnace. And Ezekiel quotes that, and they quoting from Ezekiel. All right. So now let's keep going. I'm gonna jump around. So now I'm gonna jump right here and say, and thus shall it be for all among the first, and the last who reject the precepts, who set up idols upon their hearts and walk in stubbornness of their hearts, they shall have no share in the house of the law. They shall be judged in the same manner of their companions who deserted to the scoffer. For they have spoken wrongly against the precepts of righteousness and have despised the covenant and the pact, the new covenant, which they made in the land of Damascus. So, like I said, the land of Damascus is the name of the land of Damascus equals the new covenant, the land of the new covenant. All right, the land of the new covenant. So it's just a Greco-Roman word playing on things to try to mix in, paganism with certain things. But this is the true understanding of it. So now neither they nor their kin shall have any part in the house of the law. From the day of the gathering in of the teacher of the community until the end of the men of war who deserted to the liar, there shall pass about 40 years. Let me know that liar, which is actually a Hebrew word, I think it's Iscaria, which is going back to Judas. All right, this is showing you how the teacher of righteousness is Jesus and the liar is Judas. They say another name for Judas, Iscaria. Iscaria is a Hebrew word that actually means the liar or the man of lies or the man who lies, something like that. So it deserted to the Iscariot. Okay, because there shall pass about 40 years. So when Judas, or the liar, betrayed the teacher of righteousness, when the teacher of righteousness, died, you got a 40-year span from there, and then you got 40 years, and then 40 years later, you got 70 AD to 73 AD. All right, and then you had what took place in Jerusalem. All right, what took place in Jerusalem in 70 AD with the temple, and then in 73 AD, Masada was his last standing grounds. Okay, for people for the rebellion resisting group. Masada was the last standing ground. Okay, so with that, in that 40-year time span, and it say during the age of the wrath of God shall be kindled against Israel. So that would happen. The 40-year time span, it happened in Israel had what they had done to them in 70 AD and 73 AD. All right, now, and he said, there shall be no king, no prince, no judge, no man to rebuke with justice. So nobody will be able to stop this, what was going to take place. All right, now, but those who turn from sin of Jacob and who kept the covenant of God shall then speak each man to his fellow, to justify each man his brother, that their step may take the way of God. So for those who want to repent and things like that, they would be, say that is not people. Most people think that, people had to come from caves, people at Masada, everybody died. No, you had a flock of them people, a good number. I ain't gonna say like a huge better number, but you had a congregation of them that actually left and went to Pella because they heard the word. They understood what was going on. They understood, and it was these people. Not everybody, but they're trying to make it seem like all the Judean Messianic people actually went away or fled. And then someone trying to make it say like everybody who was at the Qumran caves and the Masada just died. You had a group of them that did leave and preserve. That's how the message was able to go overseas more, and some of our records was able to go overseas more, like the Gospel of Matthew, the original form of it. Then it later got translated into different languages, and eventually, turned into a Greco-Roman Matthew later on. But so this is important. Now let me and it say that their step may take the way of God, and God will heed their words and will hear, and a book of reminder shall be written before him of them that fear God and worship his name against the time when salvation and righteousness shall be revealed to them that fear God. So he heed their word, and we're here in a book of reminder, which I written. What book of reminder? Something. So, like I said, some of our records did get overseas. Some of these things did get overseas. The gospels, some of our gospels did get overseas, and it happened. Let me jump down. Let me go down. So let me start right here. This is actually the last part of the Damascus document. Then it goes into like certain laws that was within the Damascus document that the church understood that some of these laws was here, but all the laws that understood within the church didn't do sacrifices. So what they understanding is some of them laws that you find within the Damascus document is laws that was there before them that they just understood that this is some original laws that even the Pharisees are not even keeping. All right. Okay. So they understood that. So they have certain laws that actually predates some of the things that the Pharisees and stuff are not doing. All right. They have certain laws that's contrary to certain of the Pharisees' laws and the scribes' laws. All right. So to let you know that the scribes and the Pharisees were changing things. All right. But they kept some of the things that wasn't changed. All right. So now let's check this out. Now, so I'm gonna read this last part right here, and it say, "But all those who hold fast to these precepts, going and coming in the ordinance with the law, who heed the voice of the teacher and confess before saying, Truly we have sinned, we and our fathers, by walking in counter to the precepts of the covenant. Thou judgment upon us, our justice and truth, who do not lift their hand against his holy precepts or his righteous statutes or his true testimonies." All right, so this is past tense because the teacher of righteousness came already. Damascus document let you know the teacher of righteousness already came. The community rules letting you know they're waiting on him to come. Damascus document, he came already. So for those who don't heed to the voice of the teacher, just like we see with you don't listen to the voice of Jesus say in the Greco-Romans got Yeshua saying they got Yeshua saying that those who hear my voice are my sheep, so like who heed the voice of who heed past tense the voice of the teacher of righteousness confess before truly we have said. So you got to hear the teacher's voice, then you got to confess to the Most High, and this is how you are, forgiven, and along with baptism, when going into the water, what they mix for, or just we'll call baptism. So you gotta, but you have to be a living water source. So this is what you see right here. You see this, right? You're like, whoa. Okay, you're like, whoa, this is in the Damascus document, and it's ending like this. It's ending like this, okay? So it said, who have learned from the former judgments by which the members of the community were judged, who have listened to the voice of the teacher of righteousness and have not despised the precepts of righteousness when they heard them, right? They shall rejoice and their hearts shall be strong. So for those who took heed to the teacher of righteousness and kept the Most High precepts, all right, and did not reject them when they heard them, they shall rejoice and their hearts shall be strong, and they shall prevail over all the sons of the earth. God will forgive them, and they shall see his salvation. They shall see his Yeshua. They shall see his Yeshua, because they took refuge in his holy name. All right, so that's how it ends. That's how it ends. And then it goes into, like I said, the statues that you will find within the Damascus Document that they had. They had kept some older laws that's different than what the Pharisees was following. All right. But they wasn't keeping sacrifices though. But it was in some of the the records that they had, because it's records. These records had, some of these records had sacrifices in it, because sacrifices was there. And we'll do a whole talk about sacrifices and how the early church don't deal with sacrifices. Matter of fact, we're going into that now with brother Divine Prospect. We're going into that right now. So Stay tuned on Friday for that. But so it ends like that. Like I said, then it goes into the statues. All right, so now that's the Damascus document, right? And I hope people really got some understanding from this. It's very, very, very important that we understand these records, understand the early church, in these times, and I will see y'all next week on week 6. We'll be on week 6, and we'll be going into some exciting information, some exciting Judean Christian writings. All right. So now, everybody have a blessed night and shalom. Shalom.